Y'all, this was another good episode, and I'm not going to lie. At first, I was a little bit worried because Potomac does not have the greatest track record when it comes to local trips. And we have two franchises right now on a local trip. Potomac is in Lake Norman, Salt Lake City is in Palm Springs. They're only on their eighth episode, and we're on the second local trip. We've already had two trips. But the house they're staying in Palm Springs on Salt Lake City looks amazing. This house that they're staying in Lake Norman compared to that house looks very average. Very average. But I will say this. Not much happened on this trip, the physical trip itself, but the drama on the trip has been chef's kiss. I will give the girls that. So let's get into it. The episode picks up where it left off. Stacy is talking to Karen. She's like, "Hey, Mia showed me all of the charges. I had this uncomfortable conversation with her. She said that you said you needed rehab. So are you okay?" Jassy piggybacks off of it, and she's having the same sentiment like, "Girl, like, are you sure you don't need rehab? Are you okay?" Karen says she's good. Kay jumps in and she's like, "Karen has been nothing but open, honest, and transparent with us." And I'm looking around like, Karen, who? It is crazy how Karen has these girls wrapped around her finger. Like, Karen is on her second DUI. We have known for years that Karen has had problems with drinking. We've seen her, get drunk and rant about Ray and her finances when she was at the lake house with Monique and them. We've heard about her drunk calling Robin and all of the other girls. Jacqueline shares that same sentiment, even as much as Jacqueline gets on my damn nerves. We know it was true. Karen probably was on the phone with Jacqueline drunk. Like, we know all these things. Everyone's heard these things. Karen is coming into the situation so cavalier. She's not coming in humble at all. She's not, showing any remorse. She's not coming in with her head down. She is coming in the gate swinging. She is swinging these girls every which way but loose. She is pulling all these antics, inviting the girls to her event on the same day as Giselle's event. And these girls are going with it. They're supporting Karen. They're going to her events, even though they had prior commitments. Like, they're just brushing this DUI under the rug, minus Mia. Mia is the only one who's really coming at her hard about this. But it's just crazy. Like, I don't know what Kool-Aid or what Karen has these girls drinking, but I'm going to tell you this. I'm drinking it too because I'm on Karen's side. So, hey. But Karen ends up throwing out there that Mia has had an opioid addiction and she was in rehab for that. Stacy is taken aback by it. She's like, "Oh my gosh, like Mia might be a messy heifer, but this is a lot. Like what these girls are throwing back and forth at each other is just too much." We get past that. Ashley is at the pool talking to her kids. No storyline. Next. The rest of the girls join in, minus Mia and Jacqueline. The girls start bonding, and I will say, like, this is a cute moment, and that's what I liked about this trip, is that there were a lot of cute moments where the girls were, like, bonding and having fun, but there was enough drama sprinkled in the mix. It was a good episode. It was very solid. The girls start talking about their relationships. Stacy doesn't know when her divorce is happening because she says they still have not agreed on a bunch of things. Then she talks about TJ a little bit, and she's just like, "I want Arabella to meet TJ eventually, but right now we're just not in that place because my husband doesn't even know. TJ don't even know, honestly. I don't even think Stacy knows. Nobody knows what's going on with their relationship." They look at Ashley and was like, "Well, Ashley can relate to this because Ashley been getting divorced for like 10 years." And Ashley's like, "Well, no, we're going into mediation in June." And I just want to know, it's what, November now? Is she still, are they divorced yet? Because it's like, what is the point? If Ashley's not divorced, Ashley would have been in my office after the reunion last year. And I'm like, "Girl, if you're not divorced by the season finale needs to be your divorce party. If not, you're fired. Simple as that." They start talking about their relationships and how, like, when you're going through a divorce, how it affects the kids when you're dating other people. And Ashley's pretty much like, "Me and Michael have an agreement that if we meet somebody and we're getting serious with them, before they meet the kids, they need to meet us." I don't like Michael. I don't like Ashley, honestly, but fair enough. I'll give them that. I'll give them that. So Jassy starts talking about her relationship, and Stacy, she calls out some inconsistencies, and honestly, I didn't peep it at first, but then they showed the flashback, and she's like, "Oh, he had a kid then. The kids were already here. The kids were not here yet." And I was like, "Oh, I didn't notice that." The only thing I had already noticed is that she was a pick me, but honestly, this puts things into perspective now. You're with this football player. You know how they are. You know how athletes are. Everyone, I'm sure a few people have seen Basketball Wives, all these other wives. You know how athletes are. And so, he dogging you out a little bit. And that's why you have this whole sentiment of, oh, I'm his first serious relationship. Kay, she starts talking about how she's involved with Greg and his kids. And she's like, I'm just like the rich auntie. Like, I help out around cooking and cleaning. And I'm like, use the word cooking loosely, honey, because what we saw a few episodes ago, that was not cooking. But that's neither here nor there. Mia and Jacqueline come out. The girl starts working and dancing and having fun. They're trying to get Stacy to have some rhythm, which never gonna happen. And it's okay. We just gotta accept that Stacy is gonna be that girl that is never going to have any rhythm. Giselle shows up, and I'm going to say this. I'm going to say a lot of things. You know what? It's okay because we're having a clean slate this season. I miss Giselle, and it was so refreshing to see her. She comes in, Jassy's doing her makeup, and Jassy is me. I'm ready. I'm doing my makeup, I'm getting ready, and girl, we're going to gossip about all the shit you missed. She's filling Giselle in on everything. And Giselle's like, well, what were you doing when all this was happening? Jackson was like, girl, I was sitting here watching. And I'm like, I know that's right. I'm going to let y'all fight it out while I have me a little cute cocktail and watch. Especially because it's breakfast. It was the first thing in the morning. I'm still waking up. I don't have the energy to be fighting with y'all. So I was with her on that. So Giselle, she's like, well, who do I need to check on first? And this is where, because there's always been this back and forth about is Giselle the face of Potomac? Is Karen the face of Potomac? Giselle's always in the center, and we're always talking about how she's in the pockets of the producers. But I will say this season, she is generally acting as the face. Before, it was Karen, because Karen, even though I know people hate her being on the fence, when you're like the head girl in charge, you're supposed to be the fence. You're supposed to be the nucleus. You're supposed to be the center. You're supposed to be the one that brings everyone together. And Karen, she usually does a good job at that. Like, she tries to keep all the girls together. She tries to call out things on both sides, whether it's right or wrong. Karen tries to do that usually. Or she just tries to, yeah. So Giselle's like, who do I need to check on? And I feel like now, like, she's being that girl. Karen can't be that girl because Karen is in the hot seat this season. So Giselle picked up the baton and she is doing a great job at it. The girls get dressed. They're in the living room getting ready to go. The girls start taking shots, and Mia is me on vacation. Like, I'm shots, I'm twerking, I'm Mia minus the messiness. They get on a bus. They're heading towards the joint chiropractor. Giselle and Wendy start talking to Stacy about TJ. They're asking him questions. And so Stacy's talking about how he's an actor, and she's like, Giselle starts Googling him. And so while Giselle was Googling him, I was Googling him at the same time. And I don't think I found a Wikipedia page. I know they say you shouldn't use Wikipedia in like college essays and stuff like that because it's not the most reliable source of information. But when it comes to celebrities, you ain't famous enough if you don't have a Wikipedia page to me. That's just my thing personally. But I did find his IMBD because when they started showing all the flashbacks, he's like, oh, I'm in Grey's Anatomy and all this other stuff. And I'm like, oh, okay. Grey's Anatomy, one of my favorite shows. But I also know I'm not going to remember everyone because there's like 8,000 episodes. So I'm like, well, clearly he wasn't somewhere memorable. He was like just a guest. And one of them, it was either Wendy or Giselle, was like, oh, so he just does like, he's an extra. He's in a ton of stuff. I'll give him that. But he's an extra, girl. He's an extra. And it's okay because he's doing more than what I'm doing right now. I'm just sitting down to the YouTube talking. He on real cameras. So take it, TJ. Take it. It's okay. You an extra. But Giselle was right. Like, you need to test drive the car first because you don't know what you're getting into. Have you even seen the car at least? You don't even know what kind of car you're getting into. Like, you might like a sports car and you're getting into a minivan. You have no idea. And I will give Stacy this though. Stacy is coming through with the shade and the confessionals because she was like, Giselle can laugh as much as she wants alone. I was like, come through, Stacy, with the read. Come through. you know? But I will say this too, because I'm sure a lot of people are going to be like, Giselle, who are you? You can't keep a man, blah, 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 blah. Something is telling me this, because, Giselle don't really be sharing much of her life. After that whole Sherman thing, got blown up, she was like, fuck y'all. I'm not sharing my life anymore with you bitches. Something is telling me though behind the scenes, even though Giselle can't dance either, and she got no room to be talking about Stacy, Giselle a freak. I know Giselle a freak. I am 1,000% sure Giselle is a freak. And her kids are gone now. They're off to college. Giselle breaking down all that tacky furniture in the house with a man. Maybe multiple men. And you know what? She's single. Do you, girl. Do you. We get to the joint chiropractor, and it was a flop. Stripper daddy neck breaker wasn't there. Mia didn't know what the hell they were doing. They were asking her questions, and Mia couldn't really answer any of the questions. And it's just like, okay, girl, like, why are we here? Nobody got their neck stretched. I'm like, okay, if stripper daddy's not gonna do it, at least have somebody stretching my neck. What was that guy's name? Colin or Mike or whatever? Like, he could have did it. He wasn't doing anything. He was just standing there. I would have had him stretch my neck or something, but it was a chop. Then we walk to a restaurant. We get to the restaurant and there's no reservation. Mia's like, oh, there's a lot of us. There's 9 of us. Like, girl, you couldn't even have a reservation plan out, even though it's daytime, nobody's there. You need to look like you planned the trip at least. At least look like it. So, whatever. We get into the restaurant. Karen's not drinking. You know we're going to focus on that every time drinks are offered. Giselle, she checks on Kay. Kay is like, I'm okay. And she's like, Ashley, did you apologize? Ashley's like, yes, I did apologize. And Kay confirmed that. And she was like, honestly, it's not even on Ashley. She was just piggybacking off of what Mia said. Segue Mia. They start going back and forth. And I will say this, Mia was kind of getting Kay together. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I wasn't expecting Mia to go like back and forth with her so long because Kay starts talking about, well, you know, you were a stripper. You talking about me being with a drug dealer, but you're a stripper, and the strippers for the streets too. They start going back and forth about that situation. And Mia, she's like, well, the difference is stripping is legal, drug dealing is not. I was doing something legal. And Mia did a good job at playing a game of semantics, which is surprising to me because, you know, Mia is not the quickest and she is not the brightest girl. So the fact that she was able to play the semantics with Kay, I was like, okay, girl, you get a half a point. The only reason it's a half a point is because I feel like she's only able to play this game because attacking Mia for being a stripper is easy. So she's had time to build up her defense against this. So I feel like that's the only reason she was able to defend herself so well. Because come on, Mia's slow. Let's be real. She ain't the brightest. She ain't the quickest. Okay. But they're going back and forth. She's playing semantics. She's like, you know, like stripping isn't for the streets. Like, at least stripping is legal. Being a drug dealer isn't. And you didn't deny it. You know, you're saying that your current man isn't, but you're not denying it about your ex man. And so they're going back and forth. Jassy, the argument dies down, and Jassy ends up inviting them to some Super Bowl celebration party. And she's like, oh, there's going to be single men there. Jacqueline's like, oh, good. Like, I've lost some weight. I've been working out. Like, I'm stronger. I'm a survivor. I'm not going to give up. You need to give up, girl, because we don't want you on our camera. Like, give up for us. Give the people what they want, Jacqueline, and get off our screens. Take Ashley with you, too. Please. Please. We're begging you. Jacqueline's like, I've been working out. I've lost 15 pounds. I'm stronger than ever, and I'm not taking anyone's shit. And someone's like, oh, you talking about Karen? And Stacy, one of the girls jumps in and is like, yo, Karen is like Superwoman. You know, she's been deflecting the girls with the rings. And Jacqueline's like, well, you know what? You guys are just kissing her ass. And I'm like, that's rich coming from you because you're smelling Mia's coochie, you know, 20 minutes down the road and getting jealous when everyone's like, they'll have sex with Mia. So get out of here, girl. You're the biggest follower ever. You're the biggest ass kiss I've ever met. Just got it wide open. Sorry, y'all. That was a little vulgar. But the girls leave. They head back home to change to come back down to Charlotte. And I'm like, this is too much. Like, you brought me back. You brought me down here to not get my neck stretched, to go eat for 2 seconds, to drive all the way back to Lake Norman. I don't know how far it is from Lake Norman to Charlotte, but I know it can't be that close. It's probably got to be at least like an hour or so. So for you to bring me down here, for me to be in the city less than what the commute was, for me to have to go back up and then come back down for dinner, this is poorly planned and this is too much. But it is what it is. They get home, the girls start changing, everyone's calling their family members. Jassy, she got T-Mobile because we couldn't hear anything that man was saying on the phone. It was either two things. He was either cheating on her again, and so he was trying to muffle it because he didn't want to air out where he was in the background, or she got T-Mobile. or both. And I'm not gonna knock it because I got T-Mobile too. My service don't be the greatest, okay? But it was a mess. Ashley, she's still choosing her storyline on camera. She's talking to Giselle about this another song she's trying to make because she's trying to be, now that Candace is gone, she wants to be the first lady of Potomac Records. And so she's talking about, oh yeah, I'm gonna add a little bit of EDM, and I'm listening to it, and I'm like, my face was the same as Giselle's. I did not hear any EDM. I was like, what is this girl? Giselle got me agreeing with her so much this season. Because everything she was saying about the music, her face was on point. Everything she was saying in her confessional, like, girl, either make it full EDM, put like a real hard beat on there, or make it a twerk song, or do both, but you need to do something with it. I was with Giselle there. Like, you need to do something with it. The girls finally all get together and they're sitting in the living room getting ready to leave. And Ashley compliments Karen. And Karen says, I look like a hooker that's about to breastfeed. Oh, that had me cracking up. But you know what? She looked good, though. She looked good. I couldn't see everybody's outfits, but the few outfits that I did see, Karen looked good. Kay looked okay, but that dress was wrinkled. And like the shape of the dress, it's very, I had to be in a mood to see something like that. I had to be in a mood. And we know like the Potomac girls aren't the best dressed girls. So sometimes their styles just clash and it just hurts my eyes. Their styles don't match the scenery of where they are. And it's just too much. It's too much. But Kay's dress was okay. It was just a little wrinkled. Mia looked like Mia, but she had the nerve to call out Giselle for earlier on the bus talking about some don't wear a moo. But I'm like, Mia, I've seen you wear the same type of outfit like everywhere. That's like the only thing you own. So it was whatever. But Stacy, she looked cute. And then Wendy, again, tens across the board for Wendy. Tens across the board for Wendy. Because Wendy looked so damn good in that white with that red lip. And I love a good red lip, let me tell y'all. But the one thing I will say, because they asked her, they're like, oh, why aren't you wearing red? I think it was appropriate for the birthday girl to wear a different color from everybody else, just not white. Because then people are going to think, oh, this is a wedding. This is like a bachelorette party. That's what it was given with the white. But regardless, she looked so damn good. I was like, come through, Wendy. Come through. For the most part, none of the girls really looked too bad. I'll give them as much as their styles hurt my eyes sometimes because they clash with each other and the scenery. It didn't look too bad. I'll give them that. They get on a bus. They start playing Fuck, Marry, Kill. Long story short, Jacqueline, if you're ever on an island with these girls, be careful because you the first bitch to go. They get to the dinner. The setting of the dinner, it looks so beautiful with the city in the background. I'm like, okay, Mia, finally, you got one thing right. We'll give you that. Wendy, she ends up giving a speech and she like pours into the girls about how when she came onto the show, like she just had her kids, she was just going through a tough time of trying to figure out, that next stage of life. And she was like, now she's kind of realized that she's where she wants to be. And then the girls start pouring back into her. It was very beautiful. Ashley said something nice. Giselle said something nice. Kay, like all the girls said something really nice. And then Jacqueline got to come and fuck it up. Get this girl off my camera. Actually, we can keep her on. The only reason I'm fine with keeping her on is because now that we don't have Robin Dixon for Karen to drag, I'll take Jacqueline. At least Robin be trying to hang in there. Jacqueline's sad, but you know what? I'll take it. Let the girl get dragged on TV. If she want to embarrass herself, let her get dragged. So Ashley does a cheers to Stacy for giving us TJ's government name and his IMBD since he doesn't have a Wikipedia. And Stacy done had enough. Stacy had a few cocktails in her. She said, I don't have time for this. She's like, y'all talking about me, but let's talk about what's going on with Jassy's relationship. And the girls are like, ooh. Jassy's like, you see what happens when you give a child some liquid? I said, come through, Jassy. See, this is why I like Jassy. She a little quick one. But Jassy starts talking about her relationship and the math is not math. And she was just going through it. And I'm so confused. She was like, Tom's house was broken into and he got confronted by the burglars and he had to go get eye surgery. And then her son flipped his car 5 times. And I was like, girl, what is happening? I left more confused at the end of this conversation than I was at the beginning. What I got from it is this. And it goes back to me agreeing with Giselle again. The man cheated on you. You decided to stay with him. Just leave it at that. Just accept it. It's okay because at the end of the day, we're going to judge regardless. You're on a TV show. So if he cheated on you, you're not saying it. We're gonna speculate like we're doing now. If he cheated on you and girl, you stayed with him, we're gonna be like, girl. Honestly, some people might respect it because not everyone's gonna leave their man, you know. But it was just confusing. It was a mess. And then Kay, she tries to relate to the situation, and then Mia jumps in, and Mia's like, "Oh, this sounds familiar. I might know who this guy is because I may have been in the same situation with him." And I'm like, Mia, your math isn't mathing either because one, we're already confused about the timeline with you, Ink, and G. Now you want to add this football player into it. When was he in the picture during all of this? So I was like, Mia, you messy. You messy. Then Mia ended up dropping later on in the episode. She was like, I was like the side or something like that, and I got a house out of it. When was that in the mess of all of this? Was it the football player? Was this a separate guy? Mia, you for the streets. You talking about Kay being for the streets? You are for the streets, girl. Don't want to hear it. But I will say this too. As much as Mia be lying, I think Mia slipped up with that one. I think she might have been telling the truth about this football player. She was probably messing around with a football player. She was, while she was messing around with these other five men, So she may need to get a panel. She may have to get a panel so we can figure out who, the father of these kids are. I feel bad saying that, but hey, she's going to have to figure it out. But Kay gets mad at that and we move on. Ashley, she ends up saying, like, hey, everyone's relationship is different and we need to respect it. Who are these people? These girls are really acting different. I'm like, who are these people? It's refreshing though. I will take it. They're messy and then they're calm a second later. Then they're messy and then they're fine a second later. I'm okay with it. So we leave. We go back to the house. Wendy was looking rough that next morning. She was looking super rough because they didn't pack immediately when they got to the house. They stayed up all night and they packed the next morning and left. But she was looking so rough. Stacy got too much damn energy in the morning. Don't come to me if I'm hungover. I'm with Stacy on this though. You keep drinking. You don't stop. Like you gotta slowly, take it down or whatever. So I was with Stacy there, but minus that girl, get out my face. I'm trying to die in peace, and you got too much damn energy. The girls all end up packing. They leave, and it was the end of the episode. Like I said, it was a really good episode. Potomac is giving. I love that there wasn't a to be continue finally. The girls' trip, nothing much happened on the trip itself, but like I said, the drama, it made up for it. So this is exciting. But let me know what you guys think. Bye, y'all.